Hi, thanks for joining. I'm Sophia Olivas, co-founder and CEO of EverSmart City. EverSmart City is a mixed-use IRL community built with shipping containers to provide affordable housing, powered by renewable energy. It has sustainable agriculture and is integrated with blockchain technology. The pilot city will be built in Phoenix, Arizona, breaking ground in 2023.
And my name is Mark Anthony, co-founder of EverSmart City. And if this is one of your first time watching one of our videos, be sure to hit the like button as well as subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can get alerts every time we release a new video. And if you guys like talking about sustainable development, smart cities, affordable housing, container homes, tiny homes, um, renewable energy, blockchain, crypto, NFTs, metaverse, all that good stuff, jump in our Discord. This is actually where we continue these conversations and where we love to meet new people and have you guys introduce yourselves and share some articles, share some new ideas, and see how we can grow and collaborate this whole movement. And if you guys ever have any questions, all of the questions from Discord get addressed right here on video live.
All right, so what we are going to talk about is agrivoltaics. So it's solar farming and with other uses in addition to the solar farming. We're going to talk about the two uses. So solar power is becoming increasingly popular. We have like the largest the largest power um, generative cell that there is, and it's right above us. And we're just barely starting to learn how to tap into it. So, energy harvested from the sun provides homes and businesses with clean power to meet their needs. And over time, solar panels can drastically reduce cost, not to mention the environmental impact. However, right now, they take up quite a bit of space if you're not utilizing them correctly, meaning on top of already existing surfaces. And researchers have found that plants will grow and produce below these elevated solar panels, and animals can still graze the land beneath the panels. So, solar energy in agriculture has become possible, and it's got proven results. Plus, it also allows for another stream of income for farmers. So, farmers can utilize solar panels to shade their low light plants, increasing the abundance of their yields. And environmentalists have coined the term agrivoltaics, signifying farming processes that utilize solar panels. So, Mark, let's dig into some of these agrovoltaic farms.
Yeah, it's really amazing. There's actually been some research done from the National Renewable Energy Laboratories, and they estimated that if just 1 million acres of farmland was converted into solar panels, the nation would meet its renewable energy goals. In the last 8 years, agrivoltaics farms have grown in practice in size from 5 megawatts to some projects as big as 3 gigawatts. Massive, massive, massive. And in 2019, there was a study or two studies done by the University of Arizona and the University of Maryland. And they had both done tests that were testing really the benefits of combining the solar panels and the crops. And when the solar panels were up above, they found that it kept the crops below um, cooler, especially crops that were suffering from getting sunburn or too much light. And then as those certain crops were evaporating its water naturally out of the leaves as plants do, as the water cycle, it was keeping the underside of the solar panels 16 degrees Fahrenheit cooler than solar panels that didn't have crops under them. And that difference was enough to increase their energy generation by 2%. So it was really amazing what some of these different ways of efficiency create. And there's even projects in India where the solar panels are being constructed over the canals that run through the farms to bring the water. And what it helps does is as the water loses, evaporation naturally from just being out in the sun, the surface evaporation now they lose less surface evaporation because now they're not just getting direct sunlight, they're covered by the panels, and any evaporation that does occur from the canals actually just cools the panels and increases the efficiency of the panels anyways, which is a major benefit for the farmers because they don't need to rely on traditional irrigation systems that use gasoline or diesel, and instead they can make use of the sustainable solar energy that doesn't add any environmental or noise pollution. And so there's been a lot of studies where underneath a few of the crops were tested, like I was mentioning, crops that may suffer sunburning, where some of these crops are sometimes naturally grown under tents or even in greenhouses where they have the smoked glass to help protect from the sun. Well, in these type of crops or farms, greenhouses, where they converted them to being covered in solar, that they found that the crops tested were 100 to 300% more productive depending on the species and if the shade provided by the solar panels reduced irrigation water use by 15% because the crops weren't drying up so fast. They didn't need as much water as soon or as often as they would without the covering. And it reduced the water consumption by a whopping 157 gallons per acre. So it's a lot of interesting studies. We even have some pictures to you guys. Let me bring these up, give you guys a look of what we're talking about so you can get an eye for it. And they're not just growing crops under here. There's even some projects that are using this concept for livestock farming. So here's one of the crops here in Colorado, in Boulder County. This is one of the farms. Now, this farm is really interesting because they even do educational tours for the local schools to teach the kids how to combine both solar and farming together to produce a harmonious relationship with the farm. Um, Here's another photo, kind of a little bit far out, where you can see kind of how high some of these panels are and how big of a crops you can grow underneath and how they set them up where it's still extremely accessible to go through the crops and harvest and pick. Like this one here is a raspberry farm, and you can kind of see the stakes where they branch off different sections of the tree so it's easy to harvest and pick as they walk through the aisles. You can see the ones that were originally covered with tarp, and then these ones in the center here where they just started to convert to solar panels. And what this is helping for them is these tarps would rip and tear all the time, and when it would happen they would make a huge mess. The wind would start blowing and then they just start ripping and tearing in all the place in all these crazy places, maybe even from hail or just the sticks poking through it, and it would get tangled up in these crops and create a huge mess and take so much time to untangle them with the plants. And now with the solar panels there's no way for that to happen, so it saves them a lot of time and hardship from dealing with the tarps that they were putting over them initially. These are some other pictures to kind of show different ways that people are structuring the mounts that the solar panels sit on for different crops. Kind of you can see these ones where the solar panels are more spread out to allow more light in between. So they can be adjusted for kind of the harvest you need and how much shade or how much sunlight your harvest your crops need. And even some of them are using um, transparent solar panels or these really small ones where there's a lot of gaps in them and they make them really high so a lot of light can get underneath them. And in some of these cases you can drive tractors under these. It's pretty amazing, and this is some of the stuff that they're doing with the livestock. Sophia, I know you have one near you, I believe, in Carolina.
And yeah, let's talk about that. So, or you could leave it up. So, on this one, what we're showing is in North Carolina. So, in addition to growing crops, you can also utilize livestock. So, there's this practice of grazing livestock on solar farms. Sheep are the most common solar grazing animals as they're the best suited species. And sheep are just naturally suited to the job of solar grazing. They enjoy the shade of the solar panels on hot days, napping and grazing where humans would struggle to reach. But um, they in North Carolina, they've got the second largest solar production field out there. And the sheep, actually, if you're familiar at all with North Carolina, there's grass everywhere. You don't have to water it. It grows green and tall, and you've got to mow it pretty much every week. Well, that's what these sheep do. So they take care of that. And you can also raise these panels to about 6 feet. So you can also utilize cattle as well. And a lot of farms out here are doing the free range chickens. So, and those take care of the insects and the pollinators come. So it's a really great just an incredible practice to do. And I did look up the history of this because I'm just such a history buff of this, and I love to research about it. It was in this photovoltaic. I had it somewhere. I lost it, but this article described, it was 2018, the Smithsonian Magazine article described North Carolina as likely being the national leader in the solar shepherd phenomenon. So combining sheep farming with solar power plants to reduce the high cost of grass trimming. And North Carolina generates almost 6% of its electricity through solar power, which allows it to rank second in total installed photovoltaics. So it's just an incredible time. So thank you all for joining us. We look forward to continuing the conversation with you in Discord. We dropped the first NFT backed by a smart city, and these have staking abilities. So be part of history and purchase one today. EverSmart City, where technology enhances the human experience.